So anyway, did you see this about Kneecap and about everything, all this crack happening at Glastonbury?
Yeah. Do you know what? I actually didn't because I watched the BBC iPlayer and I have actually missed the whole thing. Was he good? Yeah. Did it go well for them in the end? Did they?
Oh yeah, yeah. What about Bob Villain character?
Well, he ended up being quite the villain, James, didn't he? Nyark,
Oh,
nyark, 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 nyark. Yes. Hilarious enough,
I really hope
like
this doesn't age poorly.
oh, well, considering like this is probably going like in about a month's time, it could very well do. We'll just see. The world is moving very fast, folks. But one thing is assured
But we're
that
not. We're back
we're
here.
not. No, we are very much in the past here, folks. And long may we stay in the past where everything is absolutely fine. Um, like this is our week of escapism that we have here, where everything
That's
is
right.
fine. We can just talk about Pokemon and not real world events.
Yeah. So this was recorded as of us watching this recording and going through this recording. This had been filmed 2 weeks ago. So US has not bombed Iran. Lovely.
Yes, we come from you from the year of our Lord 2025, and
Oh,
but yeah, no, it's all pretty terrible. But yes, no,
right.
we're back playing Pokemon Colosseum. We're now at
Well,
this
things are pretty
secret
terrible here
lab.
as well. It's a bit of a wasteland.
It is, yeah. It's well, I mean, it is like it is Arizona to be fair. So
Yeah.
there's fuck all out here, bar Area 61 anyway. So although I'm sure there is like some sort of like pun name I could make for like for a Pokemon version of Area 61, but that requires me remembering what the 61 Pokemon is. And
Ooh,
I I
there's a good question for you. Uh,
I'm gonna consult Dr. Google here. So let's see. I get the feeling it's fucking Slowpoke or something. Oh,
no
well,
Pokey.
there's my answer. It's Poliwhirl.
Yeah, I think it was in around that bit of the family.
Yeah, well, it's Area
Uh,
51 actually. Come to think of it, so I kind of fucked that up actually. So
Area
Area
51. So
51.
let's see. Meowth is 52. It's Dugtrio. Diglett's 50. Dugtrio's 51.
So Area Dugtrio. That's
Which
that
kind of
actually
makes sense.
that kind of works. Yeah,
A
yeah.
little
Full
bit,
of
yeah.
moles. Yeah, yeah, a little bit. Yeah, so that works. Yeah. So so yeah. So here we are now. So this is where they're So if you remember the last time we were watching, we tried to get the tram line down to this secret lab,
Yep.
and then the guards thought it'd be a great idea to destroy their own infrastructure. Um, which again is quite ironic for Americans to do that because they tend to make a habit of that. So yeah, no, we're in this secret facility now and just let loose essentially.
I
So
mean, a Pokemon game where a child has access to critical infrastructure. Never
yeah,
heard of it.
I do love that about like every Pokemon game seems to just like end up having something like that. Like I'm thinking like the what was the like every game seems to have that, doesn't it? Like especially when like Team Rocket's involved, like the
Absolutely.
Silph building, the game corner,
Yeah,
Golden
yeah.
Bridge radio tower, like it's gas like.
Like even just by the end of it, like in Galar, you're just attacking like a energy corporation.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. He's just there like hitting fucking British gas for all of its worth like. Um, you know, it's like, oh, this is what happens when we're a public body. If we're a private, we'd have security.
Just thinking, queue up the president. Was it President Rose in Galar? Him doing that
Yeah.
South Park. We're sorry.
We're so sorry. Oh, did I break that? Oh, my bad. Such a shame.
Okay, no fielding.
Yeah. Just President Rose giving you like a CD of like sad Pokemon songs. It's like this track 17, the Lavender Town music got me through some difficult times.
It's my favorite band, Cradley of Filth.
Excellent. That's the correct answer. Oh, fantastic. For a secret facility, it is like poorly understaffed. Maybe everyone's on lunch break or something. Are we here like on a public holiday? Is is it the 4th of July or something? There's fucking no
I
one here.
I would say you came here during a holiday, but Americans don't get holidays.
That is true. Yeah, they don't have rights. Um, workers' rights in America. What sort of fucking fantasy world is this? In fairness, we just saw like an employee there calling us suspicious because we look foreign, so that checks out. I love as well that like like so we're gonna see a lot of Voltorbs and Electrodes in this area
Yep.
because
Oh,
apparently all scientists. Yeah,
it is a cliche
yeah.
at that.
It's just the notion of it, like the fact that like all these researchers have to be armed with with essentially like highly volatile batteries, um, for their work. I'm also like very much like even just at this point now realizing I'm kind of under leveled for this shit now. So
Yep. That
maybe
is
it's like a
one thing I remember from this game is how much of a curve there is.
yeah. Well, I would assume that like maybe the game is expecting you to have done one or two Colosseums or something
Yeah.
to have grinded, but considering that we are actively trying to keep the playthrough going with some level of pace, going through a big tower of like 50 trainers is not exactly the most conducive way to do a playthrough. So I'd rather take us fighting from underneath, at least for entertainment purposes more than anything else. At least everyone else is on the level. It is just my two kind of guns there that are just a little bit short. It helps when you're being able to recruit like legendary dogs at level 40,
Yeah.
which believe me is coming. I would say it's coming kind of handy at the moment, just based off their stats more than anything else, really.
Oh, look, the legendary dogs have like this was such a great shout to add them in. Like
Yeah.
it's a weird way to describe it. This game solved a problem that they created themselves
Yes.
so effectively, and yet they so undersold it.
Mm.
Like,
But in a way, like that's like I think that's kind of in a very weird way, it's kind of good like accidentally good marketing, isn't it? Because like it sounds silly to people playing Pokemon now, where like you just have to boot up the Switch and like you have like a random swarm of like a Pokemon you needed 3 months ago now just overworld, or there's a Terror Raid you can do and you can get this legendary that you've been missing the whole time. That sort of shit. Whereas like go back to when we were whippersnappers and it's like 15, 20 years ago, we're playing either the first generation or the second generation, and like it is genuinely like extremely difficult to catch legendaries.
oh yeah.
Like we cannot understate how hard it was back then.
But
like
both from the mechanics point of view and from like the unintended glitches that they had. Like
yeah, very much so. Yeah,
getting all of the legendary beasts roar, and if they use roar, then they're uncatchable from that point onwards. That's they didn't need to give them roar. That shit wouldn't work like this these days.
no, and that's the thing. Like it's a fact like they gave them roar because they're fucking dogs. They should roar. That's the whole point.
Cats.
Or even like they don't even have to roar. They flee anyway. Like they run away just by point of order.
Yeah.
But it's the fact that like just mechanically having to like just like look into a random encounter, and not even that, but just having a Pokemon ready for that sort of thing.
Yeah.
That, like you don't necessarily have to be looking for the way I used to play it was play through it enough until you get like Pokemon that are good, that are appropriate enough to go legendary hunting.
Yeah.
And even if you do get a random encounter, skip it until you're physically ready, because again, you could like I've had the luck sometimes where like you go into Equity Town, you trigger the event and they all scatter, but then like literally they could appear in the next route and you're only like level, you could be like level mid-20s at that point, depending on how your progression is.
Mm.
So you're definitely like, okay, I can't deal with an Entei or a Raikou at this point, so I'm going to skip this. Um, but even then, the problem you have then is that you could go too far the opposite scale, where you've beaten the Pokemon League, and you're now in your level 50s and 60s. You could have done the Kanto as well, and you're like primed to beat Red, and then suddenly here's a fucking Suicune at half your level. So
Mm.
you have to kind of play this kind of game of city buggers where you need to have basically a false swipe Pokemon
Yep.
that'll be able to whittle enough the Pokemon down enough to 1 HP, and then either do essentially paralysis. You couldn't risk poison, you couldn't risk burning. You had to do paralysis, and you had to do false swipe.
Or
And
sleep.
that's you only get one choice of that, one chance of that potentially. You know. And even then, like, now I know there's also alternatives. You had Kurt and his kind of special Pokeballs and stuff like that. Like if you get a quick ball, something like that, you might get somewhere. But even then, that's tricky. It's very very tricky to do that.
Yeah.
You know, at least with like Gen 1 and the birds and Mewtwo, you save before that match. You save before that fight, and at least give yourself like ample opportunity to take him down. But the fact that like the dogs were just free roaming, it's just as you said, it was like unintentionally difficult. It was a nice idea, but my Jays they that was tougher than it looked. But much to your point though about like having the birds or having the dogs in this game, it's nice that they're actually like they are an intrinsic part of the plot here. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
because I'm trying to remember back, like the birds weren't necessarily part of the plot of the first game. It was just like basically an exploration bonus for all intents and purposes. Um, the Reggies kind of had their own like little adventure to themselves. It was again also an exploration bonus. However, you got your prize for actually seeing it to the end. You know, like you did the hard bit and you found the cave in the middle of that fucking current part of the fast current part of the sea. So your prize is that you find, I think it was Registeel out that way or Regice, I can't remember, but that one was a pain in the hole anyway, as I recall. Um, you know, you came to the Mirage Tower at the right time, or
Yeah.
the Mirage in the Desert at the right time. So here's Regirock, you know. So like stuff like that is good, and it's like that's kind of how they played the roaming trios for the rest of the other games. You know, like you went off the beaten track in Unova and you came across Terrakion or Virizion or something like that. You know,
Yeah.
but again, they have a natural like slot in the legendary side of it in terms of like, okay, here's why they exist, but they never like the pixies were the only ones that were like intrinsically linked to the plot of its game. And here's me remembering that there's fucking abilities in this game. I was like, you
Fairness.
bastard. Yeah. Well, as I learned, like it is mad, like you know, when you are on the opposite side of like type pair ups, you know,
Hmm.
like we're used to starting with grass, fire, and water in most of the games, but here we're starting with psychic and dark, right? And you're basically trying to
You're starting off with something that isn't an default good
hmm,
duo for double battles.
yeah, exactly. And just because of that, like just some Pokemon are just like like they're not dangerous, but they're just fucking awkward
Yeah.
because you don't get enough choices in the game. You know, like you can't just like pull out a fucking ground type to deal with land, or you can't pull out a grass type to deal with like Lantern because I think the only grass option I've ever had has been fucking Skip Bloom, and I have to tell you people at home that Jumpluff is fucking useless, right? It's not a very good Pokemon, and unfortunately, I done goofed at the start of the game and picked fucking Feraligatr instead of Chikorita, you know, and I don't think I've had the opportunity to get a Trico yet either. So, you know, I'm limited on like my one gaping hole in my team is a grass type, and it's just for type balances to get to sweep away teams that are being awkward, you know.
I do love the music here. Oh, by the way, my music's not. I'll. Should I mute the music on my end to stop that from?
No, yours is fine. I can't hear a dicky bird, so you're good.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. No, in fairness, if I could overhear your background, I would have told you by now. So you're fine.
Yeah. Oh.
That's right.
Can't wait, bum.
Evil monkey confirmed.
No, this at an annoying point where it is just purely shit.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Now listen, absolutely happy to collect it, but I won't be using it. Like,
yeah. It is one for the decks. And that is where this is. This is a frustrating step back in time to see.
Yeah.
Things where one stage only, and that stage was shit at the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just generally like just Gen 2 generally just really was caught lacking in the grand scheme of things, you know?
Yeah, like Yanmega is just Yanma is just underperforming.
Yeah.
Or just underperforms. Same with Mischievous, same with Apom, same with Mantine, same there's a lot of just for Gen 2 as a game was one that was you were constantly mired, it seemed like, in the high 20s, low 30s, that you didn't ever really get beyond those levels. They were just lacking, really. So
yeah, we can kind of say it now because like they're still, even in Gen 2, they're still trying to find their way around, like kind of like constructing, like giving. They weren't looking at it from like kind of giving you like kind of like options in terms of like the game battling, in a sense, the game mechanics. They were just like they were making Pokemon because they were they were interesting in some way. In a weird way, they were still kind of like making it as if it's for the cartoon and shit like that, you know?
Oh yeah.
And for that reason alone, like you still have like like Togepi is a great character in the show, and same with like whichever other ones show up, like I don't know, Marill or whatever the fuck came in, you know, but they weren't better than like put it this way, Azumarill was not any better than Gyarados in the game, so you still went with Gyarados, and likewise you were still going to go with Vileplume instead of Jumpluff, like I mentioned before, on Sunflora. Sunflora was terrible.
Vileplume rather than Blossom.
Exactly, yeah. So in a weird way, Gen 2 was still very heavily reliant on the Gen 1 decks, which is partly because they only had space for a certain amount of Pokemon anyway, which is fine, no issue with that. But
I
think didn't exactly give us great options.
They were afraid of overshadowing themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I've long said Gen 2 is one of my favorite ones to play, but I think part of that is nostalgia to it, and part of that is I was an idiot kid at the time. That's quite frustrating. I
still agree with you on Gen 2 just being a fun experience, though. That's the thing. Like, I don't think we're looking at it now thinking like, oh man, I wish that like, I wish that these Pokemon could have been better. Like, that's such a first world problem when it comes to Pokemon. When you think about it,
it's some things that, looking at it in retrospect, and good night Ampharos, one of the things that you look at it now, and how many of the Gen 2 gym leaders, how many aces are Johto Pokemon? You've got a Pidgeotto from Faulkner, you've got a Scyther from Bugsy, you've got a Gengar from Morty, you've got a Poliwrath from Chuck, and like that's at least 4 there.
Yeah.
Where they could have had Heracross as an ace. They could have had Noctowl as an ace. They could have had Scizor as an ace.